Epic Games Podcast. I'm Rackzilla here with Flack. We've got a special PAX edition of the podcast. We're fortunate this week to have Pete Ellis. He's a lead artist from Fortnite. How's it going, Pete?
It's going well. How are you guys doing?
Hi, Pete.
Doing pretty well. PAX is this week, and Fortnite team is in Seattle and has a panel sort of talking about the game. So we're hoping you can tell us a little bit about sort of some of the art aspects of the game.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. So Fortnite has a really cool cartoony look. What inspired it exactly?
Well, our art style is sort of a mashup of inspirations. We took a lot of inspiration from like Pixar films and Tim Burton and Looney Tunes, the old 50s Bugs Bunny cartoons, sort of informing the animation style a bit. We really wanted to go for a whimsical, colorful look, and that's sort of where we started, was by looking at a lot of those things that we've seen so many times and we all love.
Now, that sort of distinct look didn't start in that sort of way, right? It was a little bit of a darker sort of look and feel initially, is that right?
Yeah, when we started the game, we'd been coming off development of Gears of War and Unreal Tournament before that, so we did what came naturally to us, which was the super dark, gritty, very brown and gray, sort of oppressive, post-apocalyptic atmosphere, and over time we decided to move into a more stylized look.
So does that affect your mood at all? The kind of art that you're creating. I mean, if you're making this sort of dreary post-apocalyptic stuff versus something that's more fun.
Yeah, it can. It's sort of like we had to make a decision between a place we wanted to visit or a place we wanted to stay a really long time, and the more stylized art was really something that we felt would draw people in more and make them want to stay in the world longer. The more dreary stuff makes you sort of just want to play for a little while and then get out and get back to happy real life.
And colors. How has using the Unreal Engine 4 improved the Fortnite visuals?
Well, when we started with Unreal Engine 3, we got it to a point of looking pretty good, but making the transition to Unreal Engine 4 was really valuable. We got really improved lighting quality. We got way more dynamic stuff going on. The game just pops more. Some of it is hard to put your finger on exactly why it is, but it just feels newer and fresher, and we have a lot more interesting things going on in the world with the new blueprint system letting us control like animated objects and our whole day-night cycle. We've got artist control over the light angle and how long the shadows are going to cast and all this sort of stuff that before we had to kind of bug a programmer, but now art has just a huge amount of control over how the game looks.
Oh, that's awesome.
So with all that stuff that's in the Fortnite environment, how do you know what's a right fit for something that does or doesn't belong in there? You have some interesting sort of unique things that fans might have seen, like the Durr Burger stuff. How do you know, like, is it a gut feeling, like, hey, this is something that makes sense that you would see in there and this isn't, or how do you do that? Well,
we kind of have modeled the Fortnite world off of the real world. It's just a stylized, whimsical version of reality. Almost anything goes, really. It's just got to have some character and it's got to have some life to it. So that's pretty much how we determine, would you see this thing in the real world? And if so, then we can probably find a way to Fortniteify it and put it in the game.
So how does that work then with the monsters then, right? Because you're obviously not modeling that after something you've seen, hopefully.
Well, we gotta have some fantastical elements, right?
Sure.
So the monsters are really they're really cool. They feel really fresh to us. They're really creative, and they're going to be awesome.
What are some of the various styles of buildings and architecture in Fortnite?
So pretty much like anything you might see out there in reality, like we're going for lots of different influences, like downtown stuff and suburban stuff and more rural settings. So we're kind of exploring those three themes at a high level, and then moving into more specifics, like the suburban stuff might have, just sort of like a really basic house or a really ornate Victorian house, or the rural set might be barns, or it might be like more run-down, old, beat-up, kind of spooky haunted house type things. So that's pretty much about what we have. We're going to be probably expanding that stuff in the future, but I'm not really ready to talk about exactly where that will go visually yet.
Is it harder to create art for something like a Victorian house than, say, something that would exist, today in reality that you're more intimately familiar with, that you see all the time?
Well, we tend to sort of see these things through our mind's eye. We'll sort of think about what we've seen throughout our lives and distill that into something that we can actually create. And of course, we'll also pull reference off of books or the internet or whatever, and try and find like what makes a visual theme that thing, like what makes it recognizable as that place, and find common elements and pull them all together into a model set.
Gotcha. Now in Fortnite, there's a few different sort of gameplay elements which are interesting. One, which is scavenging. You're out there trying to find things to use and then build. Then there's the actual building, and then there's combat. I mean, do you feel that you lean personally into one of those areas or over the other?
I'm definitely a scavenger right now. I love our destruction gameplay and just running out there with my sledgehammer and destroying all these things that we spend so much time creating.
Awesome. So, hey, before we let you go, we get asked a lot of time by people that are aspiring artists. We have a huge sort of fan art community on DeviantArt and things like that. Do you have any advice or tips for people that are interested in finding their way into the art side of gaming?
Sure. It's definitely a pretty big topic, but basically, it's all about what you know how to do, and your portfolio will speak louder than any resume points or degree or anything like that. So it's all about just putting in the hours and hours and hours that it takes to get really good at doing computer graphics. Whether you're into modeling or texturing, it's a lot about just spending the time and learning all the tricks and getting on the community forums like Polycount or ZBrush Central and CG Talk, to name a few.
Joining the modding community.
Yeah, throwing your work out there and be really willing to take criticism, and always understand that no matter how good you are, there's always someone better than you, and there's always someone to learn from. So that, and just using some of the tools that are out there like UDK, obviously. You can download UDK and start learning Unreal for free, so that's pretty awesome. We didn't have that when I started, so I'm envious of how easy it is and how great the tools are these days. But yeah, and just join a mod team or just get your work out there and promote yourself, and if you keep at it, eventually good things will happen.
Very cool. That sounds like good advice. Hey, thanks for joining us today, Pete. Looking forward to hearing even more about Fortnite in the future.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
And UDK.com.
If you're not at PAX this week, make sure you're following Fortnite Game on Twitter. Check out FortniteGame.com for all the latest updates and info, and we'll see you next time.
See you, everybody.